Welcome to Toastmaster Time, the show that's got everybody talking. On this show, we celebrate the art of communication and leadership. I'm Justin Parrish, your host, and tonight we're showing the spotlight on the leaders of tomorrow, the talented youth from our local Gavel Clubs. These individuals have discovered the power of confident communication, teamwork, and self-expression. So sit back and get ready for an episode that is going to be full of excitement, creativity, and the voices of tomorrow. I'm delighted to introduce two Gavel Club representatives who are here today to talk about their experience in the Gavel Clubs and the doors that it opened for them, both professionally and personally. We have Jonathan Yang and Niharika Suravarjjala, who are here to share their experience with all of you. Niharika and Jonathan, over to you.
Hello, my name is Jonathan Yang, and this is my 4th year at the CBC Gavel Club. When I first joined this club, I was very scared and afraid to talk, especially in front of a large audience. However, during my time at this club, I have learned first to speak more confidently in front of a crowd, second, to lead meetings more effectively, third, to make impromptu speeches, and lastly, to evaluate the good and bad parts of other people's speeches. So I believe that if you want to develop your own public speaking skills, then this place is the perfect place for you, because I personally have learned many important skills during my time at this program.
Echoing Jonathan, I think the benefits of Gavel Club are best summed up in the Gallant Gaveliers mission statement. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. And 5 years after graduating Gavel Club, I can say that's exactly what it did for me. At work, my team always prefers I speak to clients when we have large amounts of technical information and a few significant points need to get across without crutch words, a skill I developed through the Competent Communication Manual days in Gavel Club. Through evaluation, I learned about the art of listening and providing positive, structured feedback that can have a lasting impact. From writing and sending a professional email to speaking in front of large crowds and even Toastmasters times TV. Gallant Gaveliers has provided several amounts of practice for me. And practice makes perfect. Without Gavel Club, I would not be half the communicator and leader I am today. Back to you, Justin.
Thank you, Jonathan and Niharika, for sharing your experience with us. It's great to hear that you're still reaping the benefits of the program and applying what you've learned to your career and your personal lives. At this point, I'm excited to introduce our first speaker here today, Nikhilesh Suravarjjala, who is representing the Gallant Gaveliers. Today he's going to share a story about slowing down and finding stillness in a world that's always rushing. His talk is an invitation to pause, look up, and really see the world around us. Please join me in welcoming Nikhilesh Suravarjjala. See the view, Nikhilesh Suravarjjala.
The rain was steady. Not a downpour, not a drizzle, just that cold, lingering kind that makes you want to stay inside. The kind of rain that makes you want to call it a lazy day, sit on your couch, and scroll on your phone for hours. But instead, I was stepping onto a glacier in Alaska. The sky was low and gray, casting a dull light over the mountains. It wasn't postcard perfect. No golden sunset or clear blue skies. Just these dark, heavy clouds pressing against jagged peaks and ice. But as I stepped onto the glacier that day, none of the gloom mattered to me. Because in front of me was something ethereal. The ice glowing pale blue, stretching for miles. It was so still, so untouched. It felt as though I was standing on a piece of time itself. I knelt down and scooped up some of the glacial water, letting it run over my fingers. It was so cold, it burned. We used the glacial silt as a facial scrub. It was raw and gritty, yet somehow perfect in its texture. And even my noisy, restless family, who I can never get to shut up at home, for the first time in their lives, were dead silent. No one was talking. Because when you're in front of something that massive, you just don't have anything to say. And in that stillness, everything I left back at home disappeared. No notifications, no deadlines, no worries. Just me and the view. But just like every trip, this one also came to a close. And when I got back home, within minutes, the noise was back on. The messages were piling up, tasks were filling my calendar, and my mind was already rushing towards the next thing I had to do. I was thinking about the next 6, 7 things I would have to do on my to-do list, instead of focusing or appreciating my life. The fact that I was just standing on something thousands of years old. The fact that I had that glacier experience. And that's when it hit me. I shouldn't have to have another glacier experience for me to be able to enjoy that stillness. I should take the time to step back, look up from my work, from my phone, from the schedule, from all the noise. Step back and take a look at the view around me. But this isn't just about me. It's about you too, because you've been there. Maybe you were at the beach, or watching a sunset, or taking a walk with your dog. You were having one of those moments where it felt like time was just slowing down. A time where you could just enjoy yourself. A time where you felt like you could just live there forever. But how often do you let yourself enjoy those moments? Once a year? Once a month? What about once in a while? And what does it mean to really see the view once in a while if you can't go on vacation? It means putting your phone down when you're taking that walk. It means pausing your music or podcast when you're speaking with the people who you love. It means letting yourself sit with your boredom instead of trying to fill that void with nonsensical banter or doom scrolling. And that's really what this speech is about. Seeing the view is about making time for that stillness, regularly and intentionally. And here's the thing. When you step back, you gain more than you lose. You might lose out on a few notifications, but you gain clarity. You may lose out on rushing to capture everything, but you gain presence. You could lose out on your fear of missing out and gain the freedom to live somewhere and be there in the moment. And you'll notice it when you get back home. You'll notice it in the way that you talk because you actually listened. You'll notice it in the way that you breathe because you genuinely slowed down. You'll notice it in the way you feel because you were actually there in the moment. The rain was still steady as I left the glacier that day. My shoes were soaked, my jacket clung to my skin, the weather was gloomy, but I didn't care. I was there, seeing the view. When was the last time you saw the view? Not through a screen, not while listening to music or half listening to a conversation. I'm talking about really seeing it. Because here's the thing. Life isn't waiting for you to stop checking your notifications or take a 5-minute break. Just do it. Step back, look up at the things you have around you. And when you have, that's when you'll finally see the view. Back to you, Justin.
Thank you so much for that speech, Nikhilesh. A great reminder for us to slow down, reflect, and just enjoy the journey. Please come over to the table and join me for a brief interview. Nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on to Toastmaster Time. So I'm curious, first off, how long have you been in the Gavel Club program?
Yeah, so I've been a part of Gallant Gaveliers for the last 6 years, and
Wow.
actually my journey there started even before that, watching my sisters grow up in the Gavel Club program.
Oh, okay, awesome. Now, I'm sure there's a lot you've learned throughout your journey in Gavel Club, a lot of neat little tips and tricks and techniques. But what's one thing that really helped propel you to become the communicator you are today?
Honestly, it sounds so simple, but the biggest and best tip that I would have for anybody who's getting into public speaking or just wants to learn how to communicate effectively is to practice. And I think Gavel Club does a really good job of encouraging that by holding those weekly meetings. But even outside of those weekly meetings, doing practice with your speech, whether it's in the mirror or to a family member, can be really important. And I believe that Gavel Club does a really good job of setting you up by having all those 10 projects that you have to complete, and you kind of add different tools to your toolbox as you practice and go through those steps.
I love that focus on practice. Some people think you just go to Toastmasters or Gavel Club, and once you leave there, you don't practice, you need to become a great communicator. But it's really what you do outside of the club that supplements your experience in the Gavel Club. So thank you for sharing that. Now, there's a lot of different roles and parts in a Gavel Club meeting, and people have different ideas about which one is most valuable to them or which one they find to be the most enjoyable. What's been the most enjoyable part for you of your Gavel Club meeting experience?
I'd say the most enjoyable part of a Gavel Club meeting experience, or just any Toastmaster experience in general, has to be table topics.
Oh boy.
It's always so fun to hear the different interesting themes and questions that the table topics master comes up with, but then also hearing people's different perspectives on that theme and the various questions. It's just really fun, and actually giving those table topics, being put up on the spot, it is a little bit scary at first, but once you get into it, it's something that I believe is really enjoyable and can actually give you a chance to connect with your peers in a way that you wouldn't normally in the otherwise very professional setting.
True. And then when you get out into the real world and you're doing interviews and presentations at work, those table topic skills definitely come in handy.
Exactly.
Well, thank you again for coming here and sharing your story, and we look forward to having you back at some point in the future.
Thank you so much.
So let's hear from your evaluator, Lauren, as far as what you thought about your speech. So we're very fortunate to have two evaluators on our show today. The first one is Lauren Wu from the CBC Gavel Club. So we're going to hear her evaluation on Nikhilesh's speech. Lauren, over to you.
We're often caught up in our phones, checking our messages, notifications, or busy schedules. But today, Nikhilesh, you remind us how important it is to take a step back and to enjoy the beautiful nature and world that we live in today. You begin your speech by bringing us right into your moment in Alaska, where you use vivid imagery to describe the rain, the coldness, and the vastness of the glaciers in front of you. Something I particularly enjoyed about your speech was how powerful your delivery was. I was able to notice your change in tone, where you became soft during moments of reflection or awe at the glaciers, and direct and resolute when you're directly addressing the audience and speaking to us. In addition, you were able to pace yourself very well throughout your speech, where you gave us moments of pauses for reflection and time to think about your meaningful message. If I were to offer you one piece of advice and a suggestion, it would be to vary your hand gestures, although you do use them really effectively. Sometimes you could try putting them down to your side or in front of you to provide some contrast and stillness. Overall, Nikhilesh, you provided a very meaningful and well-written speech that is also very emotionally engaging. Your use of imagery, tone, and hand gestures are able to bring us right into your moment, while your meaningful message about taking a step back and enjoying the presence spoke volumes to me.
Thank you, Lauren, for that evaluation. For our viewers at home, at Toastmasters, we encourage evaluators to give feedback that is positive, constructive, and overall encouraging. And Lauren's evaluation definitely included all those attributes. And she also used the sandwich technique, where the evaluator starts with positive feedback, then goes into constructive feedback, and then sandwiches it with more positive feedback to leave the evaluation on an encouraging note. At this point, I'm delighted to introduce to you our second speaker, Rohan Devnani who is also from the Gallant Gaveliers Gavel Club. Today, he's going to speak of a time where he accidentally took the wrong bus to school. Oh no. But more importantly, he's going to talk about what he learned through dealing with that very daunting situation. So please join me in welcoming Rohan Devnani, The Wrong Way. The Wrong Way, Rohan Devnani.
I hate school. 7-hour days, 5 days a week, it is torture. But more than that, I hate that first day of school feeling. Waking up in the morning knowing you have to go through a whole new year of boring teachers, long homeworks, and not a single ounce of fun. That's exactly how I felt as I walked up to that bus stop August 13th with a dread in my stomach. To make this all worse, this was the first time I had ever been on a bus in my life. I arrived at the bus stop and I glanced around with my friend right next to me. We were alone right there. So after I confirmed this all, I shoved my hand into my pocket, pull out my phone, and I start scrolling. I have to look cool after all, don't I? A few minutes later, at 8:05, the bus comes around the corner. And before I even have a second to think, the doors burst open and I hear a banshee scream. Get in the bus! Get in the bus right now! What choice do I have? So me and my friend, we rush directly into the bus, find a really small spot in the corner, sit down, and bam, that's it, mission accomplished. Who knew this was so easy? So after all that done, I once again get my hand, shove it right back into my pocket, pull out my phone, and start scrolling. I mean, I have to show all these people in the bus I am way too cool for their attention. And it goes great until a few minutes later, something slightly odd happens. The bus doesn't make its final stop. Oh, well, that's not that big of a deal. Sucks for those kids. But something odd happened just another 6 or 7 minutes later. Instead of taking the left to my high school, the bus went and took the right, the complete opposite direction. And that's when me and my friend glanced at each other and knew we were going the wrong way. Instant panic shot across our face. Oh no, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna get back to school? We're going the completely wrong direction. But then, in that same glance, we realized there's only one solution. We have to go and talk to the banshee demon driving the bus. With a heavy heart, I take a deep breath and slowly make my way up. But right before I'm about to reach, I stop, and a rush of thoughts hits my head. Oh no, she's gonna hate me. She's gonna think I'm stupid. She's gonna kick me off the bus. How are you in 10th grade and you don't know how to take the bus? And right before I can finally talk to her, I stop, and I head back, unable to complete my mission. So as the bus gets further and further away from our destination, me and my friend get more and more panicked. Until a few minutes later, he has another genius idea. What about we call our parents, and then they meet us at the final destination, and then they'll just take us to school. Perfect, right? Well, I once again know what I have to do. I grab my phone, pull it out, and I start dialing up my parents. But then, right before I hit that call button, those thoughts come back. Oh no, they're gonna hate me. They're gonna ground me for life. They're gonna think I'm so stupid. And once again, I'm unable to do it. And I put my phone away gently. Luckily, however, my friend was able to manage the courage, and he calls his dad, who agrees to meet us at the final stop and take us all the way back to school. So when the bus stops at the final stop, which is the high school across town, me and my friend rush out of the bus and meet his dad in the parking lot. And the moment we open the door, bam! His dad just starts yelling at him. Oh my God, how are you doing this? How do you take the wrong bus? It is so obvious. For the entire 10-minute car ride back, which is the most awkward and longest 10-minute ride of my life, all I can think about is how much more angry my parents are going to be when I get home. Luckily, after a not-so-short ride, we finally make it to the school, 41 minutes late. Our only option now is to get a late pass and hopefully save our attendance record by not being absent on the first day. So me and my friend rush into the office building and bam, all eyes are on us. This is horrifying, but I slowly walk my way up to the front office desk and I have to ask the lady for a pass. And once again, right before I'm able to ask, those thoughts come back. She's gonna think you're stupid. She's gonna think you're dumb. She's gonna ask how someone could be so ignorant to be late on their first day of school. But instead of going back like I had done so many times this day, I pause. I now realize I was so obsessed with my own coolness, my own ability, and the fact that every person around me was judging me. I had lost every single opportunity along the way. I could have gotten off that bus if I just talked to the bus driver. I could have called my parents and they may not have been so mad. I had every single opportunity and I let it go. For what? Because I was scared, not of something physical, but of what someone else thinks. So instead of doing what I've done so many times, I take another deep breath and I march up to that lady and I tell her, hey, we were late. We took the wrong bus. Can you please give us a pass? And instead of laughing or calling us dumb, all she says is, okay. That's it. Okay, we get our pass and all is fine. Now, while it often seems the world around us is so constantly judging us and thinks down, and we are always subject to their opinions, and we need to be above, we need to show our confidence and coolness. Remember, coolness, popularity, over time it will all fade. But once you learn to stop believing in something so vain and so immature, you learn to make the decisions that will get you through a lifetime. So the next time you become so overly worried about someone else's opinion and you just can't make an act, stop and realize that you're doing all of this the wrong way. Back to you, Justin.
Thank you so much for sharing that story, Rohan, and the wisdom and the insights that you gleaned from that experience. Please come join me at the table for a brief interview. Nice job and welcome to Toastmaster Time.
Thank you.
So how long have you been part of this Gavel Club program?
I've been part of the Gallant Gaveliers Gavel program for the past 2.5 years, starting in my first year of 8th grade.
Awesome, okay. And I can tell you've probably learned a lot of techniques and honed your ability in the Gavel Club. What's something that you want to share with somebody out there who's looking to become a better communicator in terms of something that really helped you to unlock that communicator within you?
I think the most important thing to become a strong communicator is confidence. But not confidence in the fact that you talk strong or you look very well put together, but the confidence that you believe in yourself. Because once you start to believe you're confident, no matter how weak or timid you may look, you actually begin to act more confident, like a placebo effect. And once you start doing that, you understand how actually easy it is to communicate with people, and you begin to lose that sense of fear and being scared when you talk to people. That's how I personally got over my fear of communication when I first started Gavel Club.
Very nice. Now, of all the various parts and roles in a Gavel Club meeting, what would you say is the most enjoyable or the role or part that you've had the most fun with?
I think the most obvious answer would probably be Table Topics Master. However, my personal favorite role is being a speaker, because I think the amount of forethought and the amount of planning you have to go ahead to make a proper speech that you have to give, it helps you discover something about yourself. It helps you look into a story of yourself or around the world. And it does educate you so much that when you actually give the speech, it doesn't feel like you're repeating an essay that you wrote for school. It feels like you're showing a part of yourself and putting that on display for the world.
Awesome. And if it seems like you really enjoy giving speeches, would you say you're at that point now where you don't really get nervous, but you actually enjoy being up there and sharing your stories with people?
Oh, 100%. Every
Nice.
time I know I have to do a speaker role, I start writing my speech immediately.
Wow.
Because I already know that I want to give something, I want to create something amazing. And I don't feel that much stage fright or get worried whenever I start speaking, because not only do I know this incredibly supportive environment of Gavel Club will be there in case I make any mistakes, but I've learned to find the enjoyment in giving speeches.
Phenomenal. Congratulations for reaching that level. I don't know many people that actually really enjoy giving speeches. Well, thank you again for coming on to the show. And we're going to hear from your evaluator, Kathit, in a few moments. Our second evaluator here today is Kathit Ahuja from the CBC Gavel Club. We're going to hear his thoughts on Rohan's speech. So, Kathit, over to you.
Rohan gives a truly inspiring speech on how one shouldn't fear social anxiety. As a high schooler myself, I learned that maybe being nonchalant isn't the true way of living life. I mean, the way he explains how the high school lifestyle is not only about just being in your own zone, but also talking to other people, embracing the opportunities that you get, truly inspired me. Now, I found his speech quite interesting, and it was very intriguing to me. The way he uses hand gestures to explain big motions, and the way he uses vocal variety, vocal tones to impersonate different characters, and the way he uses the stage properly to truly encompass his ideas onto the stage and bring it to the audience. I found that very, very impressive and talenting. It's a true skill that one is developed. Now, with these skills, there's obviously some things you can improve on. I did notice, yes, he did use the stage properly. However, he was pacing a lot. He was pacing from here to here to here to here. And I noticed that maybe he could be a little more organized. Maybe use the diamond technique, which is a popular technique used by Toastmasters, where you use one point here, another point here, and your last point here. And you repeat that until your speech is done. I also noticed that while he did use different vocal impressions of his people, he could use a more variety. Like for the bus person, maybe use a deeper, more intimidating voice. For the principal, use a more different voice, stuff like that. And lastly, his hand gestures, although they were unique, they were quite repetitive, using like this a lot. Maybe tone down those hand gestures using this a lot and keep it controlled over here, so it's not distracting for the audience. Now, his speech is very impressive, very, very inspiring to the audience. However, if he just improves on those small things, it would be even better. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathit, for that evaluation. For our viewers at home, Kathit also employed the sandwich technique, where we started off with the positive feedback so that Rohan understands his positive speaking attributes and continues to retain those. Then he went into the constructive feedback so that Rohan understands where he can further develop his communication skills. And then he ended with more positive feedback to leave the evaluation on an encouraging note. So at this point, I want to introduce two individuals who played a big part in making these Gavel Club programs happen. They are the coordinators of the CBC Gavel Club and the Gallant Gaveliers Gavel Club. They're going to share information with you on how you can find more information about the Gavel Clubs and also enroll if you're interested. So we're delighted to have Shalini Suravarjjala and Miji Robetta here to share that information with you. Miji and Shalini, over to you.
I'm Shalini and I coordinate two Gavel Clubs, the Gallant Gaveliers and the Dublin High School Gavel Club. And we are actually powering up the communication and leadership of our youth. If your student really needs to be more confident and improve on their leadership skills or communication skills, and if you are located in the Tri-Valley, in Dublin, Livermore, San Ramon, or Pleasanton, you can contact us. We are on Instagram at Gallant Gaveliers, also on Facebook, as well as you can email us at gallantgaveliers@gmail.com.
In the era of AI, to master human communication skills can help you to be more successful and happier in life. So my name is Miji Robetta. I am the coordinator of CBC Gavel Club and Faith's Gavel Club. So if you are in Fremont, you can register at cbcsfbay.org. We took new students in June, and then via TYLP, and then you can continue in CBC Gavel Club in September. And then if you are in Union City or Hayward, you can join Faith's Gavel Club at fates2021.com. Lastly, I would like to thank Justin Paras and Alan Sorester for hosting this wonderful program for our students. And also thank you for all this wonderful, dedicated volunteer team that make this program happen. Now, back to you, Justin.
That's all the time we've got for tonight's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. To view past episodes of Toastmaster Time, make sure to check out our YouTube page at the link below. Toastmaster Time is sponsored by District 57 Toastmasters. For more information on this amazing district, be sure to check us out at d57tm.org. And for general information on Toastmasters, including where you can find a club near you, make sure to check out toastmasters.org. I want to thank everybody who played a part in making tonight's episode so special. Thank you to our Gavel Club students. First off, Niharika and Jonathan for sharing their testimonials at the beginning of the meeting. Thank you to Nikhilesh and Rohan for telling their stories and delivering their speeches. I want to express gratitude to Lauren and Kathit for providing their evaluations. And of course, a thank you to Shalini and Miji for coordinating these programs that are so important to the development of the youth in the community. And I can't close the show without thanking our wonderful staff and all the volunteers here at the Mid-Peninsula Media Center. Each and every episode, you bring your generosity, your kindness, and your expertise. And these shows would not be possible without you. So thank you so much. On behalf of all of us at Toastmaster Time, I want to encourage you to keep on speaking, leading, and becoming the best version of yourself. Have a great evening, everybody.